Hey, how's it going? Ben here, great to see you again. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to be talking about teaching and teaching English specifically. And if you want to get even more specific than that, we're talking about teaching English as a foreign language. So returning viewers to this channel will know that my name's Ben, perhaps, and that I live in Thailand, and that I work as an English teacher here in Thailand. The goal of some of my recent videos has been to give some of my tips, some of the little tricks, and some of the games that I've picked up along the way, and share them with you, any potential new foreign language teachers who are planning to go out there and start teaching English. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the games, some of the strategies, and some of the things I do in the classroom when I'm trying to teach spellings. So spellings are a little bit of a tricky thing to sort of plan a lesson for, and actually at my current school I have to do spelling tests weekly with one of my classes. So I've had to develop a few little games to play and a few little ways to teach or help some of the students learn spellings. Typically what would happen is I will give a list of 5 words to the students at the beginning of the week, and then on Friday they will be tested on those spellings. And for a handful of the students, they go home, they practice them with their parents, and they get good grades, usually. However, there's always that percentage who don't take the note home, who lose the note, who don't really do too much homework perhaps, and those spellings don't get learnt. So I have to do some things throughout the week to help practice with those spellings. So that is what I'm going to share with you today, some of the little games, some of the things or some of the exercises I get the students to do whilst I'm trying to teach them the spellings that they have to learn. So let's get straight into it, and the first game I'm going to show you is a game I play using post-it notes. So this is a pretty fun and simple little game I developed when teaching the students spellings. Now I'm going to use very basic words for the purposes of this video, just to give you a little bit of an idea. These games do actually probably work better with more complicated words, but we'll just keep it simple, keep it short, keep it quick, try and keep it a little bit snappy. Okay, so the first word we're going to learn is dog. Okay, so D-O-G, I'm sure you all already know that. So if dog was one of the words I was trying to teach my students, something I could do in the classroom would be to get the post-it notes, and I would put them on the board or on the wall behind me, wherever I was teaching, and I'm going to put one post-it note for each letter of the word. Obviously dog has 3 letters in the word, so we're going to get 3 post-it notes stuck on the wall. Alright, so the post-it notes are now stuck to the wall with blue tack. In the classroom, like I mentioned, I don't have to do that. They stick to whiteboards and blackboards pretty well. They don't stick to the surface of this wall particularly well, they just fell off. So yeah, I've had to put some blue tack on them, but you probably wouldn't have to do that in the classroom, although maybe you would, I don't know. So anyway, what I would do next is write the word. So we're going to write dog, put 1 letter on each post-it note. And we're going to do that with a marker pen. You could use your whiteboard marker pen perhaps if you're in the classroom. It works just as well. So we'll go D-O-G. Alright, so I hope you can see that on the camera. You should be able to, but yeah, all it does is say D-O-G, dog. Now, the game I would play would be then to mix up the letters. So we'll take the post-it notes, mix them up. Okay. And once again, this game works better with longer words because you can get them more mixed up, more spread out. And there's only so much you can do with 3 letters. However, I want to keep this video simple. So now the letters are mixed up and on the wall. What I would do is call on a student, maybe call on 2 students to work together, especially if it's a longer word. I would call on 2 students to run up. So I would say their names or maybe high five them and say, okay, 1, 2, go, 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 go. And they have to run up to the board and put the letters in order to spell the word dog. So they will have to run up to the board and get the D, and then get the O, and then get the G. Okay, D-O-G, dog. So they have to run up and spell the word correctly using the letters on the post-it note to spell out the word. One way you can make this game simpler, if it's a little bit challenging, if it's new vocabulary, if it's difficult vocabulary for the students to spell, is you could write the word. So maybe you could write out a list of the words, a list of the vocab you want to teach, and have that on the board while you play this game with certain words selected from the list of words. That way they can check and help themselves out by finding the word on the board. And once again, you could turn this into a whole classroom activity if you wanted to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting, at the risk of potentially getting the students too enthusiastic. You could spread the letters out around the whole classroom, get them to run, find the letters, take them to the board and spell out the word. So that is a way I like to teach spellings in the classroom using post-it notes. Alright, next up is a very tried and tested game for teaching spellings, and that game is Hangman. So I'm sure you all already know how to play Hangman. Just in case you don't, we can have a little bit of a game now. Maybe I'll pick a different word. Okay, so it's going to be an animal, probably going to keep it 3 letters, and we'll play a little bit of Hangman. So obviously you go up to your board, get your pen, and count out how many letters, drawing a dash. So you can hopefully see that there's 3 dashes on the whiteboard, and the word I'm thinking of has 3 letters. So maybe you can guess. C, well done. A, very good, that's the next letter. P, there's no P, I'm afraid. T, well done, very good. So the word is, what is it? Cat, wonderful. So that is how you would play Hangman. Sometimes I would draw the man, sometimes I don't. I teach a young class. Sometimes the idea of Hangman, the visuals of Hangman are a little bit grim, so I kind of tend to avoid them. Also, you don't have to just play Hangman on the board, on the whiteboard or the blackboard in your classroom. There are a lot of digital versions of Hangman online that you can play. Once again, I would stress, there's a game that I like to use. If you go to Google, type in free English games online, I think that's how you write it in. You'll find a website with a lot of these English games. Hangman's definitely on there. But once again, I actually would be very careful showing that video. I teach very young students, and the graphic at the end actually does have the man hanging, which is a bit grim. So I usually will skip the word if I get to the end, or I'll just give them the answer before they run out of turns, so the graphic doesn't play, because it is a little bit grim for younger students. So those are some of the games I play when teaching spellings or attempting to teach spellings to students of certain words. I'll show you some of the exercises I also do. So these are kind of fun games, but they're also exercises you can do in a class, so you could get them to get out their notebooks and copy the word from the board. So let me give you an example of something I might do. So I would write the words on the board. In this case, we're going to do fill in the missing letters. Once again, this is probably pretty obvious. I'm sure you would know how to do this if I just mentioned the name, fill in the missing letters, but I'll give you an example of how I might do it in the classroom. Okay, so let's go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I hope you can see that on the board. I'm not sure if you can. I hope you can, but there's a dash, an A, and then another dash. Now, you could play this on the board, so you could get a student to run up, pass them the pen, and write in the missing letters. So they would run up and write C and T to spell the word cat. So that's something you could do. You could do this as a game, as a class game, and try and get individual students to run up and write on the board. Lots of my students enjoy writing the board. They like the opportunity to come up and do something in front of the class. But if you want to turn this into more of an exercise, what I would do is make a list of these words with missing letters on the board. So we could write another one. Okay, this time I'll do the first letter. So we have D. We have D dash dash. Okay, and let's do one more. So we have, okay, this time we have dash IR dash. I apologize for my handwriting. This pen isn't too good. But yeah, so you can see you have 3 words. I would make it bigger if I was doing it in the class. I would use all the vocab we're doing, maybe have 6 or 10 words on the board. If I was to turn this into an exercise, I would give them the letters on the board with the dashes, with the missing letters, and I would get them to take out their notebooks. If they don't have notebooks, I would have to take some paper into the classroom for them to write on, which does happen in some of my classes. And they have to go through, and also, I forgot to do, but I would definitely do this if I was doing this as an exercise. I would number them, so I'd write 1, 2, 3. Numbering the task makes it a little bit simpler for students to copy it into their workbooks and organize them on their page. So yeah, I would definitely do that. I would then tell them to write the words, fill in the missing letters, and yeah, let them do it in their notebooks. So that is something else I would do whilst teaching spellings. A slight variation on a similar theme would be like a word scramble. So this is kind of a cross between that last game we did and the sort of post-it note mix-up we did. This time I would mix up the letters on the board. Okay, so let me give you an example of that. I would write, okay, so if you can't see that, it says TAC. I'm guessing you know what that is. And once again, you could do this on the board, so you get the students to come up and spell the word correctly, and next to where you spelled the word incorrectly or mix the letters up. Or you can once again make a list of them. Once again, if I was doing this in the classroom, I would definitely number these, but I won't for this video, so I'll just write a couple more. Okay, so the next one is GDO. And we have DIRB. Okay, so obviously these words are cat, dog, and bird, but I wouldn't tell the students that. I would show them the words written on the board. Maybe I would again write like 10 of these if I was going to set it as an exercise in the classroom. I would tell them to write the correct word in their notebook. So once again, they'd be numbered. And what the students would have to do is write the word correctly. So they would take their notebooks out, write number 1. So number 1 on the board is TAT. Obviously that's meant to be cat, CAT. So in their notebook, they would just have to write the word correctly. So number 1, CAT, cat. Number 2, DOG, dog. And so on. Having the students fill in a missing letter or rearrange words is a little bit more engaging. It involves a little bit more thought than just having them copy the words from the board. However, I would do that initially if I was giving the words to the students for the first time. So I would do that initially. I would get them to write the words out, potentially, just copy the words down. And then if it was very easy for them, maybe the grade is very high, maybe they're very smart students, I would quickly jump to these sort of games or exercises to make it a little bit more challenging for them. As I mentioned, I'm required by my school to do weekly spelling tests. However, if that wasn't the case, and it isn't the case in some of my classes, perhaps I would do this as like an exercise to teach some of the spellings if I had a list of vocabulary I wanted the students to learn. So that is something else you could do. You could add spelling tests to your class, your weekly class activities, and perhaps you have a spelling test on Friday, you practice the spellings for 5 minutes at the beginning of each class to the end of the week, and then you have the spelling test on Friday. Maybe that involves you giving the students their notebooks, reading the words. You could also print the words out onto little pieces of paper, which is what I do for one of my classes. Hand it to the students so they can learn them themselves as like homework, and then on Friday test them the spelling. So you could have them write the words in the book and then you mark them. Or you could even do like a mock spelling bee where you would have the students stand up, you tell them the word, and they have to spell the word vocally in front of the classroom. So that could also be fun. So you can make these little spelling tests, little spelling bees, even if they're not required by your school. Perhaps it could be a good way, good educational sort of game to play with your students on a weekly basis. I did briefly mention this, but there are also a ton of resources online. There are a ton of games, a ton of spelling games online. There are a ton of YouTube videos with spelling kind of PowerPoints, presentations that you could go through and have pictures that you need the students to spell or something like that. So there's a ton of resources online for spelling, a ton of worksheets. But I just wanted to share with you a few little games that I do, a few little exercises that I do in my class, because teaching spellings is something I'm required to do weekly, so I thought I would share that with you. I hope you found this video useful, or perhaps even entertaining. Hit the like button if you did, I would greatly appreciate that. And consider subscribing if you're teaching English in a foreign country, because that's what I do, and I do occasionally make videos about that on this channel, so it would be a great way to stay in touch with you. If you're interested in teaching English in Thailand, then I have made a video all about that previously on this channel, and I will leave a link to it on this end screen. So go and check that video out if you think you would enjoy the challenging of moving to a different country and beginning a career as an English teacher, and you would like to learn more about it. So check that out. I'm not sure which side it's on, but check out that video.